Welcome to Strength in the Numbers. My name is Andrew Codd, accountant, author, and commercial finance entrepreneur, and it's my job each week to bring you leaders in finance and business and deconstruct with them their real stories, insights, and hard-won lessons into practical advice on the key strengths and qualities you need to remain relevant in accounting and finance today, as well as the steps you can begin to take to elevate the impact you make to have a fun, successful, and rewarding career in accounting and finance. Now let's go over to the show. Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Strength in the Numbers. Now, are you really proving your full value as an accountant? Because there's two types of people this question applies to. The first are those who are worried that automation is going to continue to displace their current roles, and then there are those who want to practically know how we can be creating and capturing even more value for our organizations we serve. So in today's episode, guest mentor Elizabeth Hale and I deconstruct and go through a number of real examples on how we can continually prove our value as accountants and as finance professionals. And we also go into a number of other areas, such as why a career in finance and accounting can be a wild ride, and Elizabeth shares some funny stories as to why that's the case. Also 5 main things business owners are really looking for from their accountants. Also how we can become, from a practical perspective, more like a business partner or a financial mentor that they're looking for, and then how to adopt a solution and continual improvement or proving our value mindset to help drive their businesses forward and therefore our success forward too. So look, if you enjoyed this episode, please check out the show notes, the key quotes and the resources that have been mentioned on the show at sitnshow.com/podcast/118. And also let your friends and your colleagues know about it. There might be that key bit of advice that might really help them in their careers and also help them add even more value for their organizations and clients they serve. Look, really appreciate you investing your time with us today. So without further ado, over to Elizabeth and the show.
Well, my mother always used to say when I was about 8 years old, I was flipping through help wanted ads and I saw an accounting position. I'm like, I could do that. So I knew early on, I really like numbers. But for a while there in college, I majored in English and philosophy because I really like writing. And I was really into philosophy too. But then switched to an accounting major because I really wasn't a school person. I didn't really love school, but I love working and doing. So I'm pretty active, and this has been an amazing profession for me to be in. I get to work with lots of different people that are creating businesses and have different creative skills and different perspectives and insights on the world and business in general, and it's been an amazing experience. I feel like every day is a brand new day. Someone comes at you with something fresh or different, and so there's a lot of challenges. And it's in working in public accounting too. You're managing a lot of different customer demands, and unfortunately, not everyone, it doesn't happen in queue. So it's not like, oh, okay, so we have this person selling their business today, and then next week, it's usually everything all at once or nothing at all. So it's definitely a wild ride.
A wild ride. That's interesting, right? Because I remember checking this out. It was probably this time last year, and I went into Twitter and I typed in accountant and stuff came up. And then I noticed the word boring accountant came up. But when you describe that, Elizabeth, right, the wild ride, when it comes, it comes and it goes. You don't know what's coming or what not. The various challenges, the different perspectives of the business owners you're working with. Sounds far from boring. Is that what you found in your career?
Oh yeah, it's never boring. I've never been bored one day. I might be tired.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, maybe it's a tired accountant as opposed to boring accounting. But I suppose no. In terms of that journey, you did touch on some very interesting areas, and I guess from those challenges and perspective, I want to dig into those a bit or deconstruct them a bit. What are the main perspective that the business owners you're working with are looking from professional accountants out there?
Well, I think they're really looking, and this is how, I train a lot of young people that are just getting into the profession. We take a lot of interns in, and, I really try to impress upon them really the value that they're looking for is really someone to listen to them and someone to help them plug the holes that they are not, that are not their strengths. Most entrepreneurs really excel at sales and business development and marketing and vision and ideas. And a lot of times accounting or the financials or the numbers are not their strong suit. Although not the case across the board. I have some clients who are so dialed into their numbers and really enjoy that part of it. But I would say the majority of people that are successful are focused on what their strength is, and most of it is sales. So they're looking for somebody to kind of not partner in the business, but partner with them on the journey and to help them make sure that they're kind of overseeing, making sure, they can fund the payroll and that there is a profit at the end of the day. And so they're looking for that advice and then to kind of bounce ideas off of, and then that oversight part. So are they excited about getting their tax return done? No. Are they excited about doing bookkeeping? No. They're really excited about, though, if you can offer something that is going to impact them and impact their business positively. So, and people are usually looking for some boundaries, like what should I be doing? What is okay? And it really depends on that business and that business owner. And so it's very custom human contact. I mean, we can automate a lot of things, and there's a lot of great apps out there and all these time savers and quick activities, but it really comes down to human contact and understanding and having someone, that you respect to put your voice in there.
Actually, you know what? It was becoming very evident when you were describing that the word automation didn't appear until you introduced it right at the end, right? And there's so much out there at the moment about automating this and that. I suppose ultimately these entrepreneurs, these business owners aren't interested. Well, how do you say? It's wrong to say they're not interested in automation, but it's not top of their agenda, I guess. It's that human side of things and being respected. I suppose, how do we become that respected partner, that financial mentor, perhaps, to the business owner?
I think by listening, number one, listening to what they're really saying and what they really want. And it's a skill to listen carefully and to pick up on little innuendos and to read into the email. And I think, I work with a lot of millennials, and right now text and anything that you have to do to not personally see someone or talk to someone is preferred. But I'm so I used to say, well, contact them, call them, and they would email. So now I say dial a telephone number. And that means you have to call them, because really that verbal contact is absolutely critical. And you need to hear what they're saying to you and ask lots of questions. And then I think that you can help them, because you can offer solutions or advice that meets what they're actually looking for. Because a lot of people ask you questions and those aren't even really the questions that they're concerned about. So you have to keep digging deeper.
Yeah, if someone said it to me lately, it's very easy for us to make an assumption that people know what they want. So that digging deeper, if you got any sort of maybe examples or favorite questions or ways that you go and do that, you could maybe share with our audience.
Well, usually people come in, I would say 90% of my clients come in and they say, oh yeah, I have no receivables problem. Or yesterday I was in a meeting with a client and he was saying, I have about 11 employees and they're all paid, the highest person is paid $58,000. So if let's say they range from 40 to 58,000 in the 11 employees. So let's say the high range. So let's say it's about 600 grand he's paying in wages. But you look at his financials, and actually he's paying $780,000 in wages. So he really doesn't know what he's paying, but you get an idea in your head. And so, someone needs to be there to say, well, maybe the profit isn't as much, because if you're operating with the vision that you're only paying 600, but you're actually paying 780, maybe that's why your business isn't netting the 180 difference that it should be, because you had this preconceived notion that that's what you're paying. And just bringing people back, like people get ideas in their head and maybe they were even correct, but things have shifted or changed in their business.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, when they're in there day in, day out, and everything's whirling around them, like their nose is really up against it. How are they going to know that they're looking at a masterpiece unless they step back a bit? And I think that's where we can help them, right? As finance professionals, so I really appreciate you sharing that example, Elizabeth. And there was one other thing before we move on I wanted to pick on that. I was really impressed you use the word solution, because when I was in public accounting, it was very transactional work. You'd go do an audit, do a tax return, end of year return, that was it, right? Then you'd leave. Like how do you adopt this solution mindset? Because for me that just seems much more sustainable, but like how have you figured it out and got to the solution mindset?
I think I just have, honestly, I've been asked this before about why, and I guess because I've always wanted to prove my value in public accounting. It comes from a point of, before, when I first started, everything was time and billing, right? So you pay by the hour, and if it takes you 100 hours, then there's a lot of uncomfortable conversations that happen with clients, And so when I started my firm in 2004, I was like, we're going to do this differently. We are going to prove our value to our clients, because I have ideas. And I think those ideas, if they pan out, we can show that, hey, quantitatively, yes, maybe you paid us 10,000, but with the ideas that we had, we saved you 20,000. So you actually doubled your money on our fee. So I've always been interested in business and always grew up in it. And I've loved working with businesses all the time since I was very young. My dad owned his own business. It was a restaurant, and I love, people and customer service. But I also really enjoy finding, troubleshooting or finding solutions to problems. So if almost every client that walks in the door, a new prospect, they have a reason they're here, and it's usually because there's a problem somewhere. So they either feel very uneasy, or they've been embezzled from, or they owe a lot of taxes, or they were blindsided by the fact that their line of credit is maxed out. Some problem is initiated. So finding a solution to that problem, and then maintaining, or creating a system to solve the problem, and then maintaining that system is really how I approach it. So we really don't do a lot of transactional only work. We only work with clients where we actually are having some meaningful solution. Otherwise, it's very boring. Going back to your boring comment, it gets very boring to transact all day.
Yeah. No, I hope some of our listeners can relate to this. And the thing that really impressed me there, Elizabeth, was, the way you were able to capture the value for your client and then put that back in a conversation to them so that they were aware of it. And that in effect doubled their money, or gave them twice back what they had. And it communicated. I think that's something, whether we're accountants in public practice or we're working in finance teams in organizations, we need to do more of this. We need to write down the value or capture the value we're delivering and communicate it back to the clients or the organizations we're working with, because if we don't do that, they won't know, and they probably won't think of us in future when it comes to more problems to be solved. That's the fun bit of the job. It's the troubleshooting, it's the problem solving, it's the non-routine stuff, So look, I love that
Yes.
journey you took us on there, Elizabeth. Really appreciated that. I suppose I'd love to get to maybe what's exciting you most about your current work. So I guess, yeah, what's exciting you most at the moment?
Well, this book has been a very exciting journey. I've enjoyed writing it, and I'm hoping to work on getting it out there. So that's a big initiative I have. As far as in the field, I'm super excited about the new tax law and the opportunity zones. So working a lot with clients and creating an opportunity zone fund to invest in Arizona and some of the opportunity zones here. Great tax law, best tax law I've ever seen as far as sheltering capital gains. So I'm very excited about that. And then continuing to, we really work with a lot of new apps and that come to market and just employing to help business owners automate some of their processes. So we're working on quite a few new apps and new systems for our clients to help them dial in further since it's such a cutthroat market out there price wise. So.
Oh, yeah. Like I suppose I wouldn't be as familiar with those apps and some of our audience as well. Like what sort of apps are getting your attention at the moment that would help your
Well, we're
clients?
using a lot of, we use almost all cloud-based online accounting systems. So we're a big fan of QBO and Xero. We use a lot of Receipt Bank, Bill.com. We use T-Sheets for time tracking, Paylocity for payroll, Gusto we love for payroll. We're using Process Street is one of my favorites. That is time tracking or process tracking. So automating your processes and providing checklists. So we're doing that a lot with our clients right now, just helping them document their accounting process and also other processes that they have within their business and getting their teams to use that to make sure that they're consistently delivering quality, fulfillment to their customers.
It must be weird in a way because, like, I suppose when you started out in practice, would you have thought you would have been using all these apps? I mean, there must be
No,
nearly 10 there.
no,
I mean, wow.
no,
Goodness. I
yeah,
like
crazy.
where'd you get the time to keep on top of all of these things? There's a lot there.
There is. I love technology though. I mean, I have every gadget. I just got, today is actually my birthday and my kids got my new Samsung watch that I've been wanting. So I was pretty excited about that. I love technology, love computers and any new things that come out. So I guess it's mainly driven by my interest and my interest in like getting the routine, mundane, transactional stuff as automated as possible so I can focus on strategy and solution based consulting rather than, entering data.
I think that's where it's got to go for us if we want to be involved in the solutioning and the fun aspects of the work and the ones that actually contributes the most value to the clients. It's not the data entry, it's not the bog standard work. It's actually the higher value, helping them figure out where things are going in their businesses and so on. We have to do this. And actually, I know
Yeah.
you skimmed over it, but I really want to focus in on it. I love the title of your book, Protect Your Profit.
Uh-huh.
So one, I've written a book as well. There's a lot of work goes into it, but I mean, I suppose one, like, why the book? Why now? And why did you feel it had to be about protecting your profit?
Well, I just feel like there's so many issues right now with, everyone's driving those top line sales. It's in the news media all the time, the big companies, Facebook, Google, all these things, all these software and tech driven companies that are like driving revenue. They have no profits yet, but they're going to be hitting IPOs and getting money from different sources and eventually prove out their models and become profitable someday. But for most business entrepreneurs, that's not an option. They don't have, they're not going to be IPO or they're not, their idea isn't, they don't have the funding to be able to take those kind of risks. So to sustain their businesses, they need to have profits. And so many business owners get so caught up in driving revenue that they're forgetting about their profit, or their cash flow, and they're borrowing money and doing all these other things, and at the end of the day maybe they don't have anything, and they've worked their ass off. So it was important to me because I'm very passionate about it and having a profit, and then all the different ways that maybe you can create profit when you didn't have it before. So tax saving strategies, do you have the right entity structure? Do you have a good process in place so that people are not, do you understand like what it takes to fulfill a sale to a customer, and how that cost directly affects your profit? So I spend a lot of time with people consulting on that, and I just was very passionate about it and why it's important to have a good system, because people get caught up in, accounting. They don't want to put any money into it. They don't want to, it's just kind of there. It doesn't really matter. I log into my bank every day and I see money there, but if the money is coming from debt, then you really don't have a profit that's not available cash.
No, I mean, it's great. It's great that you're so passionate about it, Elizabeth. I mean, it does frustrate me a little bit sometimes that companies, and even, it doesn't matter, small or large, they don't look at the accounting or the finance team or systems as an asset. I mean, the amount of useful insight that could be gained if it was invested in, nurtured, or what, like, it could unlock so much value, or just the basic function, protect your profit. I mean,
so getting that profit and showing them how they can get it, or what could be tweaked to create it, and protecting it against, all these other things. Or maybe mainly we come at it a lot from a tax perspective, obviously, because sometimes you just need to do something a little differently and you could have 20% more at the bottom line.
Definitely. It's again, it's just not just not assuming that they know what they need to know. That's why I view what we do as an asset to the business. And income follows assets, right? So if it's a better asset, better income should flow. So look, I really appreciate taking us through that, Elizabeth. I want to be respectful of your time. So you've given us loads of great advice there. What's been the best bit of advice you've ever received?
I would say the best that I've received is do what you love and the money will follow. So I tell, we have bonus systems here at ECPA and all this other stuff. And I just had a conversation recently with one of my team members, and I said, you really can't focus on how much that client is bringing in. I mean, obviously you have to be aware of it as a business, but you have to really focus on the client first and doing the right thing. And then, you will financially benefit from it if you're doing the right thing. So I think doing the right thing first, and then focusing on what doing that right thing can bring to you is important. You can't focus always on the money if you really truly want to be successful in business.
Yeah, I mean, how do you say, it feels like it burns out very quickly if it's all money focused. There's going to be tough times, whether in business or a career, and to sustain, you have to be doing what you love. Otherwise, burnout. And we do hear an awful lot about that.
Yes, because you're not working in conflict with yourself.
I know, yeah. It's probably some of our younger listeners won't really understand that until they get a bit older. I suppose, having lived through it, probably you have as well, Elizabeth. It's like you'll figure out what you enjoy doing faster, and then you'll have a much more fun and rewarding career. And it doesn't necessarily have to be financial.
Yeah.
Although generally it will work out that way. If you love what you're doing and you're really good at it, then there are financial rewards, generally speaking. So that's a great bit of advice for us. And I suppose in terms of, are there any resources you turn to that you find useful that you could perhaps share with our audience, Elizabeth?
Well, I'm a member of the Entrepreneurs Organization and EO, and that has been an awesome experience for me. They have great speakers that come in, and a lot of learning. And I really enjoy I love reading. I think one of my favorite leadership books is Leadership and Self-Deception. It's an awesome book for anyone to read, actually. So yeah, those are a couple of my favorites.
What was that book, Elizabeth?
Leadership and Self-Deception.
Oh, and what drew you to that book, or why would you recommend that book? I hadn't heard of that one.
Yeah, well, actually, my daughter really struggled as a teenager, and I sent her away to a wilderness camp. And as part of this whole program that we were involved with, it was weekly counseling, I did over the phone while she was, in this wilderness experience. And this was a required book to read, and it's applied to so much of my life. And it's kind of like working in unison with how you're feeling, but always thinking about the other person and how you can be a better person to that person. And it just flows through a lot of life. So I just love, you deceive yourself and you kind of come at the world from your perspective, and then just being open and not having expectations of others really makes it a much more joyful journey.
I just wish I had that advice when I left school. So it sounds like a great recommendation. I am going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
So thank you, and and if any of our listeners have read that book, then please let us know. Sounds like a fascinating book. I should have read years ago. So thank you, Elizabeth. And I suppose in terms of our audience, if they should try and continue the conversation and connect with you, where's the best place to do that at?
Well, we have our website, eecpa.com. So my email is elizabeth@eecpa.com.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. And I suppose in terms of, I've really appreciated our conversation, our time together. Would you have any maybe final parting thoughts for our audience?
Well, what I can say to others, that the largest way to succeed in finance, accounting, the financial world is to follow up and follow through. You can follow up and follow through. You will be successful. You just have to be persistent.
I like that. I like that. It goes very nice with not getting caught behind our desks. It's just keep following through. Get up, get out there, follow through. I love it. What a great way to end. Elizabeth, thank you so much for your explaining your wild ride to us, taking us through that journey in accounting and in finance. I love the way you sort of got so passionate about the challenges that entrepreneurs and business owners were facing. I can see why your clients love working with you, and also happy birthday as well. I wasn't aware of that, and now I saw that watch. I'm going to have to get one for my wife. It looks amazing. So for those that are listening and you can't see that, but it was a really cracking watch. And thanks for investing your time with us today on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to know more about our guests today, their bio, and follow up on the resources mentioned during the show, you can find all the relevant links and more at sitnshow.com. There you'll also be able to get access to earlier shows, read the latest blogs. There's also an opportunity to subscribe to our newsletter, which will give you heads up as to when the next show is coming out, latest events, news, and anything that's going to be relevant to help you have a fun, rewarding and successful career in finance and accounting. And just before you go, we really appreciate your feedback. If there's something we can do better on the show, something that's not working, or something you'd like to see, even a guest you'd like for us to invite onto the show, someone who you think might be able to benefit you more and also the rest of our community, please let me know. You can email me. I'm at andrew@sitnshow.com, or feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Just drop me a message so I know how you found me and we can connect. And really, it's our community that'll make the show. If we keep engaging and driving each other on, we'll keep on building our strength in the numbers. When all is said and done, if we can do the numbers better and finance better, we'll create more opportunities for ourselves, our friends, our families, our communities and our businesses. So until next time, have a good rest of the week, take care, and let's keep building our strength in the numbers.